A dark fantasy roguelike game where you play as the devil, you work and you trade with death, and use your evil powers to literally manipulate battles and cheat to break the rules of play. Well, that's Rogue Lords. Let's talk about it. What is up, guys? So, Rogue Lords, as the title leads you to believe, is a demonic and dark fantasy roguelike game. The story is you play as a vampire who once led a mighty army, but was beaten and banished to the depths of hell. He sat in hell, absorbing souls of the dead, until he was strong enough to return to the overworld, taking his key allies with him to seek revenge on the demon hunters and heroes who wronged him. So I've played Rogue Lords on the closed beta, so thank you to the publishers for allowing me free access to this for this video. It gives you the tutorial and like the first chapter of the game. And I just wanted to share what the game is, how it works, if it's fun to play. The full game should be out in fall 2021 per the Steam page and doesn't currently have a purchase price. My hope would be this is an indie priced game around like 20 British pounds, because that's what a lot of these sort of games come out at. 20 to 30 I think would do this quite well. So let's get into what the game is. What do you actually do in Rogue Lords? It's a standard roguelike experience. You pick a party, you head out into a mission, you progress down branching paths, you make choices, you get stronger, and fight a boss at the end. But unlike most roguelikes, this has something really unique and niche that makes the game so different to anything else out there. And I want to get into that straight away. It is the coolest and sexiest mind-blowing feature, as it's the only game I've ever played that does this, and it does it really well. So you play as the devil and you recruit your companions. In the closed beta, I had access to Bloody Mary and the Headless Horseman. And as you progress through the game, you have this resource in the top left. At first, I thought this was the health, but you can use this as devil power to break the game completely. And you can use it whenever you want in all situations. If the enemy puts a shield on himself, you just click on the devil power and take the shield and put it on one of your characters. Enemy puts a bleed or a curse on you, use your devil power and move that curse and put it on an enemy that you want, maybe the weakest enemy. Up against the wall with no way out, literally decrease the enemy's max health. This sounds like it breaks the game, and it does, but to combat this, the game is made to be super hard, so you always have a challenge above what you're capable of, and you have to cheat to even the playing field. There's also non-combat flaws where you have to win like a speech check, so like, do you have enough of a certain stat to convince someone to do something? And you can cheat again here to up your chances of winning these checks. There's plenty of other things you can do with this that I'll try and touch on as you play, but I wanted to shout this out immediately because I play a lot of games in this genre, and a lot of games are just copying the most successful ones. And it's really refreshing to see someone come out and try something completely different and bring something new to the table. With that out of the way, how does Rogue Lords work? You pick your party members and you head out on these missions. You can run into a bunch of random events, shops, those non-combat speech check areas I mentioned, and then fights. When it comes to fights, you've got basic, elite, and boss fights. And the harder the fight, the better the reward. If you played Slay the Spire, it's very similar to like an elite enemy will reward you with like a relic. Very similar to that. I find it a little weird that you run your guy around the overworld and then you jump into the missions manually. So if you want to move from, say, floor 1 to floor 2, you just manually click to run up to the next place. I feel like they could just add a screen and just click zone 2, like how most of these games do it. But hey, maybe there's more planned for this in the future. I have seen some like secret things in these areas that you can go over to. But it just feels a little weird. I don't know. Maybe the more you play of this, it'll feel smoother. Anyway, onto combat. It's turn-based combat, but there's something super confusing here as well. After playing through the beta, I'm still struggling to get my head around this. Unlike every other turn-based combat game out there where you use your player's moves and then you switch to the next character. So say like 3 energy on character 1, you use it, and then you control character 2. Here you have a group energy pool. So you have like 5 energy split between 3 characters. So for example, Bloody Mary was my favorite character by far, and she got a really cool ability where she can make like a Bloody Mary mirror and put it behind the enemy that reflects all damage again. So you do double damage. And I found her the most powerful, and I used her all the time. But then I totally neglect the other characters. Like I rarely used any abilities of the Headless Horseman. And it's a super complicated system, and it doesn't feel natural, but it does make the game harder and add an extra element of strategy. I hope when the game comes out, this feels smoother, because I found that I was just funneling all the best abilities and all the best moves whenever I got a choice and all these decisions you get into my favorite character, and then just neglecting the others. But I guess as the game progresses and you get onto these harder difficulties, you're going to have to use everyone's abilities, because the Headless Horseman was super defensive. He could taunt and he could negate damage, things like that. So maybe when the game comes out and it does get this much harder, you will have to use everyone. I was just blasting damage all the time. But yeah, it's super interesting, and again, it's different to how most other games do it. But yeah, that's how the game works. You have buffs, debuffs, damage, defense. Your actions run out and take time to recharge. Obviously, you can use your devil power to completely remove that issue. So I'd use Bloody Mary, and then at the end of the turn, use my devil power to just reset her abilities so I could use her again. Really cool idea. Completely breaks the game how you want to break the game, and I loved it. The other cool thing about combat is the enemies have got health and then spirit, so you can attack either one. So certain attacks damage health and certain attacks damage spirit. Remove one of them to 0 and the enemy dies. The only other really cool thing I found was there's like a shop where you can deal with Death himself, and you can trade, and you can kind of like barter abilities and things like that. And one of the things you can do is every ability in the game you can have more than one of. So let's say you have a standard, I'm going to really simplify it and say you have a standard attack that deals 5 damage. You can take another skill that is that same attack, call it, I don't know, slash, and then you've got 2 slashes that both deal 5 damage. They've got a cooldown, so you use one and then you use the other one the next turn. If you get a third slash, those 3 abilities merge together and become like epic slash that does 10 damage. But as they merge, they get new abilities and they get stronger and they get cooler. So if you start funneling all these new abilities into one character, you can have the most overpowered and awesome build. And I think once the game comes out and there are more characters and more builds and more abilities, that's going to be really cool. I only touched on it a little bit in here. I think I merged one ability all the way to the end, to like the legendary, the final stage. And it was super powerful. I could like damage, steal health, that could stun. Really, really cool idea, and I'm really looking forward to how this will play out when it comes out. And other than that, guys, that is the game really. This isn't a review because there isn't enough of the game to be super critical and deep dive into every system, and I haven't played through more than once. I literally played all the content that was available and then made the video. When the game does come out fully, I will definitely be picking this up and reviewing it because I really did enjoy it. I find it super interesting and unique, and I just wanted to make a video and raise awareness about the game before it comes out. Really, it's far way off, and I want more people to know about it. When someone does something unique and different, it should be praised, and this game is looking super unique in a really stale genre, so I am more than happy to talk about it. The complexity of combat mixed with the dark setting and the ability to purely cheat the game makes me super excited for this one. So yeah, guys, if you like roguelikes, consider wishlisting or putting it on your games to watch, or just, you know, in 6 months, go check Steam, because it'll probably be there. I'm sure I'll have a review out for it in the future. And I cover roguelikes all the time, so consider subscribing if you want to see more. I recently reviewed Tainted Grail, which is out. That's incredible. And if you're into this sort of thing, I think you'll like that too. So I'll link that down below if you're looking for something similar. While you're there, consider subscribing and liking the video if you like the video. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching this one, and I'll catch you in the next one.